The battle between Google's brand new Tensor G5 and Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 has quickly become one of the most talked about rivalries in the smartphone world. And with the Pixel 10 series finally here, Google is hoping its custom chipset can finally match or even surpass Qualcomm's dominance. But do the benchmarks and specs really prove that? Or is the Tensor G5 still playing catch-up? Let's find out. Because on Geekbench's CPU test, the Tensor G5 surprised everyone by scoring 2,276 in single-core performance, slightly edging out the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which scored 2,183, showing that Google's shift to TSMC's cutting-edge 3nm process has indeed brought improvements, and in multi-core performance the story is more balanced, with Tensor G5 achieving 6,173, while Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 scored 6,434, meaning Qualcomm still holds a small lead in multi-threaded tasks. But overall, CPU performance looks nearly identical, with Tensor 4% ahead in single-core and Snapdragon 4% ahead in multi-core, proving that at least on CPU workloads, Google is finally in the same league. But things take a dramatic turn when we move to the AnTuTu benchmark, where leaked early numbers showed the Tensor G5 scoring just 1,140,286 points, compared to Snapdragon 8 Gen 3's massive 2,087,159 points. Nearly double performance, and breaking that down further reveals the gaps more clearly, because in CPU subscores, Tensor G5 managed 313,500, compared to Snapdragon's 440,975. A difference of around 40%, and in GPU performance, the gulf is even wider, with Tensor's Imagination Technologies DXD GPU scoring 394,695, while Snapdragon's Adreno 750 scored a jaw-dropping 860,385, more than twice as powerful. And when you factor in memory performance with Tensor's 246,571 versus Snapdragon's 427,798, and UX performance at 185,520 versus 358,001, it's clear Qualcomm still has a massive lead when it comes to raw graphics, memory bandwidth, and overall efficiency, which are critical for gaming, AI, workloads, and heavy multitasking. But remember, these leaked AnTuTu numbers should be taken with a grain of salt until we get official Pixel 10 reviews running the final optimized hardware, because sometimes early test results don't fully reflect real-world performance. Now, diving deeper into the specifications, the Tensor G5 is built on TSMC's advanced 3nm N3 node, while Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is fabricated on TSMC's 4nm process, giving Google a theoretical efficiency advantage. And Tensor CPU configuration features one Cortex X4 prime core clocked at 3.78 GHz, 5 Cortex A725 performance cores at 3.05 GHz, and 2 Cortex A5 twin efficiency cores at 2.25 GHz, compared to Snapdragon setup of 1 Cortex X4 at 3.3 GHz, 3 Cortex A720 cores at 3.2 GHz, 2 Cortex A720 cores at 3.0 GHz, and 2 Cortex A5 twin efficiency cores at 2.3 GHz. So while both are 8-core chips using the latest ARM architecture, Google's design leans heavily on more performance cores, while Qualcomm maintains a more balanced mix with its Cryo CPU arrangement, which may explain why Tensor can edge out single-core, but Snapdragon still wins in multi-core. And when it comes to graphics, Google's decision to go with Imagination Technologies DXD 48-1536 GPU without hardware ray tracing is controversial, because Qualcomm's Adreno 750 not only delivers higher raw performance, but also supports advanced features like ray tracing, which is increasingly important for gaming and rendering, giving Snapdragon a huge edge for gamers and visual-heavy applications. Now on the AI and NPU front, Tensor G5 introduces a brand new Google Edge TPU specifically designed to accelerate on-device AI tasks and power Google's new Apple Intelligence rival, offering improved machine learning, speech recognition, and image processing. While Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 brings it Hexagon NPU capable of running AI models up to 10 billion parameters, which in raw terms sounds far more powerful, but Google's strength has always been optimizing AI features tightly into Android and Pixel devices. So we'll need to see how these chips compare in real-world AI use cases, like live translations, AI photo editing, and voice recognition. Moving to camera performance. Tensor G5 debuts a new ISP capable of recording 4K video at 60 frames per second with advanced HDR processing, while Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 pushes even further with a triple 18-bit cognitive ISP, supporting up to 200 megapixel photo capture, real-time semantic segmentation, and 8K video. Recording, again showing Qualcomm's raw specs are ahead, but Google will rely heavily on software magic through its AI algorithms to stay competitive. In terms of connectivity, Tensor G5 uses Samsung's Exynos 5400 5G modem, which supports sub 6 GHz bands in India, while Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 has a far more advanced X75 5G modem with peak download speeds of 10 gigabits per second and upload speeds of 3.5 gigabits per second, plus better mmWave support. So if network speeds matter, Qualcomm still has the edge. And for wireless standards, Tensor offers Wi-Fi 6E, Wi-Fi 7, and Bluetooth 6.0, while Snapdragon matches with Wi-Fi 7 but slightly older Bluetooth 5.4. So Google is at least pushing connectivity boundaries there. And in terms of storage and memory, both support UFS 4.0 and LPDDR5X RAM. But Snapdragon has confirmed support for higher 4,800 MHz memory speeds, which explains it higher AnTuTu memory scores. So after comparing everything, what's the verdict? Well, based on Geekbench, the Tensor G5 is finally competitive with Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 on CPU workloads, which is a huge step forward for Google after years of lagging behind. But on GPU, memory, and AI benchmarks, Qualcomm still leads by a large margin, and the leaked AnTuTu results highlight just how big that performance gulf may be, meaning Tensor G5, while improved, still feels like it's 1 or 2 generations behind Snapdragon in terms of overall flagship performance. But if Google optimizes its software tightly enough, Pixel 10 users may not feel those gaps in everyday tasks. So while Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 remains a powerhouse for gamers and heavy users, Tensor G5 could finally be the efficient, AI-focused alternative that makes Pixels more appealing than ever, and that's why this matchup is one of the most exciting in years. So stay tuned as we bring you real-world benchmarks and comparisons once the Pixel 10 series officially ships. Because this fight is just getting started, and as always, this is TechVerse.